Hey everybody, cabbages can be fun to grow, but they can also present some problems. Are you seeing leaves that have big jagged holes, round holes, leaves that look like they've been shot with a shotgun shell, yellowing leaves, plants that are dying, plants with stunted growth? Are you seeing caterpillars, butterflies, moths, slugs, snails, beetles, and a host of other issues? What we're going to do is we're going to discuss not only the problems, but we're going to give you solutions. So we're going to go ahead and go on out to the cabbage patch where, quite frankly, I've already been under attack, and I just put cabbages in over 48 hours ago. Let's go on out. Okay, so we're out here at our cabbage area, and this is the container garden that we're going to be using just for our cabbages. For those of you who don't know, Bell's has moved from zone 9B to zone 8B. We're getting the garden prepped now for planting into the ground, but we're always going to focus on our container gardens and our raised garden beds for you to answer those specific questions that you ask us. So let's talk about just overall prevention of pests before we get into the specifics of the reason why you jumped in on this video. We're going to talk about overall protection. Now, the first thing you can do for overall protection is row covers. You can either do a floating row cover or you can do a low hoop cover. I'm not a big fan of those. The only reason why I'm not a big fan is not that they don't work, they're very effective, it's just that they're flat ugly. If I can get away from it, I'll do that. The second thing you can do is companion planting. For cabbages, the best things to use, there's 3 of them. One of them is dill. Dill actually does pretty well in the fall. It can grow into the cold weather also, but it provides, it attracts your predatory insects. So dill works very well in taking care of aphids. Also garlic. Garlic, the smell of the garlic keeps away the moths and the butterflies that we're going to talk about here specifically in just a minute. And then the third thing that you can plant is radishes. Now, if you're planting in a container, if you're planting in a raised garden bed, you can actually plant the radishes inside of the container, whether it's a 3.5 gallon container for like your 45-day primos, or it's a 5 gallon container for your larger heads of cabbage. You can plant the radishes inside the container, and those radishes will actually help deter your slugs, your snails, and your flea beetles. All of these we're going to talk about specifically, and that's what we're going to do right now. Let's jump into your specific questions on what this is and how we're going to fix it. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be what we got attacked with last night, and that's going to be your cabbage white butterfly. Now, the cabbage white butterfly is just like the name describes. It's a white butterfly, has little black dots or black markings on its wings, and what it does, it'll lay eggs underneath the cabbage leaf, and those are little white eggs that will grow, and then once they hatch, they produce a little green caterpillar. Last night, we got hit with it. These cabbages we've had in for 48 hours and they've already been attacked. So I'll show you a little closer example. Maybe you guys can see that, but there's a perfectly round hole. It's not jagged, it's on this leaf. And when I take this and I turn it over, sure enough, there's the little green caterpillar. Now, the way that we treat these things, one is going to be just a hand pick. Like, I'm just going to take this guy here and I'm just going to, well, see you later. And we're going to get rid of him, hand picking it. The second thing you're going to do, this is kind of fun. Not a lot of people know about this, but the cabbage white butterfly actually is territorial. So if they see another white butterfly around the cabbages or around the plants, they're going to go somewhere else. Now, what you can do, I got this from a nice lady. She's in Australia and she makes these. She sells them on Etsy, but it's a little piece of plastic. It's got the black dots in it. See if you can see that or not. It has little black dots on it and has little black markings just like the cabbage white butterfly does. And you take that and she sends these little things of wire and you just attach that on it, and then you can stick it right down into the soil. And what happens is, now that this in here, this thing will be moving around with the wind. The butterfly thinks that there's another butterfly here and it'll go somewhere else. The other way that you can treat for these things, once you see them, and hand picking is not going to work for you, because there's another one right there. What you're going to use is BT. Where do I have my BT? Okay, here it is. BT. Everybody should keep BT. If you're an organic gardener, keep this around the house. BT, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, is very effective when it comes to slugs and caterpillars. It's a naturally occurring bacterium that's in the soil, and what it does is it disrupts the digestive system of the caterpillars or slugs. And it doesn't take a lot to do this. Now, for this particular BT, read the instructions on whatever you're going to use. But this is just a half of a teaspoon for every quart of water. Now, I'm just going to take, sorry, I keep jumping around on you because I don't have it right next to me. All I need to do is I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of BT in it. I'm going to fill this up and I'm going to shake it, and then I'm just going to spray it on the plant. I'm going to spray it on the tops, and I'm also going to spray it underneath. I always like to spray, and you'll hear me specifically talk about this when we're dealing with neem. I like to do it in the evenings. That way the BT can be absorbed into the leaves, so any type of pollinators that come out in the morning, they won't be as exposed to that wet BT or the wet neem. So I always put any type of my organic treatments, I'll put them on in the afternoons. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is when you wake up in the morning and you see that your leaves have just been what we call skeletonized. They've been stripped down to nothing but the veins that are in the leaves themselves. That is the work of the diamondback cabbage moth, and it looks like this. It works the same way as the cabbage white butterfly. It produces a little green caterpillar, but these things are absolutely voracious. I think that's a good word for it. It would just eat and eat. Now, you can try to hand pick it if you want to, but because these things are so hungry and they eat so much so fast, as soon as I see anything like that, I go straight to the BT, treat it just like you do with any other moth or any type of caterpillar. Use the BT, and I think you're going to be fine. All right, so now you're seeing your plant. It looks like it's turning a little yellow, has some malaise to it. Looks like it's under stress. You're starting to see little yellow dots on the top of the leaves. Take that leaf and turn it over. You're going to see these little white soft-bodied bugs, and those are your cabbage aphids. Now, the cabbage aphids work up underneath the leaves. They bite into the plant and they suck the sap out of the plant. It can cause stress, and it can also, which slows down production, but it can also kill the plant. There's three ways that you can take care of an aphid. One is the simplest way, is just a good stream of water, a jet from your garden hose, and just knock them onto the dirt. They're not going to come back. You can take care of them that way. Second way is insecticidal soap. Now, the way that you make your insecticidal soap is use 2.5 tablespoons of pure soap, like a Dr. Bronner soap, not a detergent, but 2.5 tablespoons of a soap and 2.5 tablespoons of a vegetable oil. Put that into a gallon of water, shake it up, and then take it, put it into one of the spray bottles, spray it directly onto the aphids themselves. It's a soft-bodied bug, and what that's going to do is going to close up its pores, and it's going to suffocate the aphids. Another way of taking care of them is going to be neem oil. Now, this is the other thing that you want to keep around if you're an organic gardener, and there is a proper way of using this. Neem oil comes from the neem tree. What it does is it disrupts the hormonal cycle of your soft-bodied insects, and it doesn't allow it to reproduce. Now, neem can be toxic to bees if applied incorrectly. What you want to do is with your neem, this one takes a tablespoon and a half per gallon of water. So it doesn't take an awful lot in a small bottle, but you'll mix that up and you're going to spray the entire plant. The key to it is spraying it in the afternoons after your pollinators have already left, because neem will absorb into the plant and then it'll kind of dissipate itself. So it'll only affect what's going to be attacking the leaves, and it's not going to hurt your pollinators. All right, that's with the aphids. Now let's go on to the next one. If you're getting a benefit from this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. It actually helps the channel to grow. Leave any comments that you have at the bottom. And then also, if you want to see any videos that are like this in the future, subscribe to the channel. You'll be alerted when we do our next video. Okay, let's get into the next one, and that is the cabbage root maggot. Now, what you're going to typically see with your plant is sort of a malaise to the plant. It's going to have stunted growth. It's going to look like it's dying, and it's just not growing like it's supposed to be. Chances are is the cabbage root maggot. Now, what that is it comes from a fly, looks very similar to a house fly. It lays its eggs right at the base of the plant, and when the eggs hatch, they burrow down the maggots will burrow down and they start feeding on the roots, and it inhibits the growth of the cabbage plant. Now, a lot of people say just take it at that point, take it, pull it out, throw it away, you're done with it. But there is a way that you can continue to grow that plant and have a successful head of cabbage at the end of the season. And that's, we're going to go back to our BT. Now, we're not going to spray the plant with BT, but we're going to do a BT soak. The way that we do it is we're going to mix it the same way that we do if it's a foliar spray, where we're spraying it directly on the plant. But instead of spraying it, we're going to take and drench the base of the plant so that that BT and that water is going to go down. It's going to reach the maggot that's in there eating those roots, and it's going to kill it that way. So that's the cabbage root maggot. Let's go to the next one. If your cabbage looks like it's been shot with a shotgun, more than likely that's the work of the flea beetle. Now, the flea beetle looks like this. It eats repetitive holes all over the leaves of your plant, putting it under stress. It could cause stunted growth, or with a large infestation could actually kill it. There's 3 ways to take care of the flea beetle. Number 1 is to hand pick. Number 2 is to use diatomaceous earth or DE powder around the base of the plant. Now, DE powder is effective. The only problem is if it gets wet, if there's a rain, it soaks into the soil and you're going to have to reapply it again. But DE is effective with the flea beetle. And the 3rd way is using neem oil, just like we do with our aphids. So give that a try. That's what you're looking at. Let's go on to the next one. All right, before we go into the last one, hang on to the very end of the video, and I'm going to go over what we're going to use as our regimen to protect these guys throughout the growing season. But let's get to the last one. Okay, you wake up and you've got large, gaping, jagged holes. That's usually an indication of a slug or a snail. If you turn the leaf over and you see the slime trail, it's definitely what it is. Now, there's 4 ways you can get rid of a slug or a snail. Number 1 is going to be to hand pick. Number 2 is going to be using a beer trap, and a beer trap is nothing more than a small container like a sour cream container. Leave the lid on it, cut a hole in it, put about 1 inch or 2 of beer in the bottom of it, bury the container so that it's level with the soil. The slugs, the snails smell it, they'll fall into it, they're going to suffocate and drown. The 3rd way of doing it is BT. So you can use BT just like we're using with our caterpillars. That's very effective. And then also the final one is you can also use the diatomaceous earth. Spread that around the base of the plant. It'll also affect the snails and the slugs also. So guys, that's it. No, wait. I was going to tell you what we're going to use for our regimen. Don't go away yet. Let's talk about that. Okay, our regimen is going to be very, very simple. We are going to use both neem and we're going to use BT. The way that we're going to do it is we're going to alternate our weeks. So we are going to treat our plants in the evening every Saturday. For us, we're going to do 1 week is going to be our BT treatment, 1 week is going to be our neem treatment, and we're going to react if we see anything like the malaise of a cabbage root maggot. Then we're going to soak it. We're going to treat it that way. If we see slugs, then they're also not getting affected by the BT, then we're going to put out our beer traps. But that's going to be the simple way that we're going to take care of all of our cabbage plants for this season. Guys, I hope that this was beneficial to you guys. I'm Greg from Bell's Backyard, and I'll see you in the next video.